Hi, welcome back to the Oracle Scroll. Today, we're discussing destruction. Hi, I'm Kevin Walder, your host for the Oracle Scroll. And as we continue to work our way through this little deck, I'm looking at card number 24, Destruction. Destruction. It carries a particularly heavy kind of feel to it. And here in the middle of September 2020, we are surrounded by destruction. All up and down the West Coast, we have wildfires that have been out of control for weeks now. We have choking smoke that has blown into our area in the Pacific Northwest, where it's basically made it very difficult for people, especially those with breathing problems, to be outdoors at all. It's a very trying time. Around the nation, we also have people on the Gulf Coast that are experiencing hurricane winds, flooding, rain, and spawning tornadoes and so forth. So there's a lot of destruction. And it is very sad when someone loses their home, their livelihood, their pets, even family members. These things happen in a mode of destruction. So we have to make sure we keep a balanced look at destruction. If we think about the fires in the wildfires in the forest, those have now it's a decidedly different when it's a forest fire and when it's a fire that threatens cities, towns, and residences that are established. That is a very different situation. Those are both very destructive. But in the case of the forest fire, if it's contained there, that can actually be beneficial to the life of the forest in the long run. It cleans up the debris that has fallen to the forest floor and allows for new growth. And we've got lots of examples of how that happens throughout our area. But destruction is not necessarily, it's never thought of as being positive, and it is always thought of as being something that you would want to avoid at all costs. And I'm thinking a little about an old adage that I believe came from a biblical scripture, which basically states that there is a time for everything. There's a time for building and a time for tearing down and a time for peace and a time for war. There's a time in every space for every possibility. And destruction fits right in there. I also often point out the fact that in order to accomplish something new, sometimes something old has to be destroyed in the process. We try to preserve the meaningful things, the things that have sentimental value, and things that are particularly interesting to our culture, our history. Those things we try to preserve, but we often fail, and fail miserably, as I might say. But destruction overall can actually be the first step toward making progress, toward making good progress. Sometimes progress gets to be a dirty word as well. But destruction is not necessarily as negative, it's definitely not as negative as we might have thought in the past. So here we are looking at destruction. How would we reframe that and understand that on a new level so that we don't just eliminate that as a possibility? And like I say, when we talked about, the demolition of buildings like the Kingdom, when something is imploded, and particularly it is massive, the destructive force that is brought to bear. But it's the first step. It's the first step to clearing the space for something new. So in actuality, destruction plays a vital role in every life, all of our lives. We do this on almost a daily basis. We destroy something to make room for something new. And we're doing it right now with our crops. The plants that have spent, they have pretty much produced the fruit they're going to. They are really not doing anything beyond. It's time to destroy them. It's time to till them under. It's time to put them back to work as fertilizer for what comes next. So we have destruction that is necessary for our advancement in the way we continue and move forward. So as we think about destruction, we might take away, first of all, take away the emotional aspect of it and begin to look at it in a more logical sense. It will help a lot for the way we accept it. So when you just understand that destruction plays a vital role, destruction is not, it is definitely not always positive, but it is also not always negative. There are many times when destruction is absolutely necessary, and it is exactly what we need in order to progress and make something new in its place. So, as we look at number 24, it extrapolates out to be a 6, which is actually kind of a moment to just take a deep sigh and appreciate where we are, where we're going, and allow it to begin healing. So destruction can be the first step toward permanent healing. Wow. If you think about that, that's what surgery is all about. We destroy something that is making us ill, and yes, it's unpleasant. It's not something you look forward to doing, but it's necessary, and in the end, you look back and you are very grateful that you were able to do that. So yes, destruction can be absolutely necessary for our advancement. So let's remember that the next time we're faced with having to accept a situation that feels oppressive and feels like we didn't have a choice, well, destruction can begin within. It can actually be something that we make use of as we progress in life. Thank you once again for joining us for this episode of the Oracle Scroll. My books, Tarot for Lunch, Lessons from the Cards, and more recently, 22 Teachers, Healing Lessons from the Major Arcana, are both available on Amazon.com. Please check them out. They are very informative and helpful in learning and understanding the tarot. Also, please stop by kevinwalder.com, my website. You can book appointments for any of the services available at that spot. So stop by and take a look today. And most importantly, please subscribe by hitting the little red button down below, and also click the bell to make sure you don't ever miss an episode.